So 3-0. I mean, that means that though, if you go to Asia, you're gonna fight somebody with relatively higher experience, just
Yeah.
because they are fighting from a younger age, and specifically kickboxing more than like MMA. I mean, does that phase you at all, or is just part of the
No.
process?
When I have what I think my pro record is 4-3 in MMA, and my last two fights were against guys who were 15-3 and
Hmm.
20 something and something.
Oh wow.
Like I've always been trying to fight. I want to be challenged. And when I fought guys with equal or lesser records than me, they get smoked. So
Yeah.
I need somebody who's gonna push me, whether I win or lose. Like it's about the experience and challenging myself.
Yeah.
And if you look at these Thai fighters, they don't talk about like, oh, I have 170 wins. They're like, I have 200 fights.
Yep.
You know.
This is the Prize Fighting Business. I'm your host, Daniel Caycedo, and today my interview guest is professional kickboxer and knock Muay, JD Hardwick. JD trains with the Easton Muay Thai team and also coaches down at Easton Centennial. He sat down with me to have a conversation about his martial arts journey up to this point, including making the transition from pro MMA to kickboxing, the significant time he spent training and fighting in Asia, and what he's looking for out of his next fight matchup. So let's dive into my conversation with JD Hardwick. Awesome, JD. Well, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So you're currently looking for a fight.
Yeah.
Recently transitioned from MMA to kickboxing and Muay Thai full time. Mainly kickboxing is what you're looking for. And I mean, what's next? I mean, what are you looking for? What kind of matchup do you want? What do you want for your career from here?
All of them.
Yeah.
I just wanna fight and continue to gain experience and get better and see how high up I can make it in the kickboxing and the Muay Thai world. Mostly kickboxing,
Yeah.
but yeah, I'll probably have to fight some Muay Thai fights to get to those big shows.
Sure. Yeah, that's kind of what you see. Just to gain the experience, you kind of need both of those. Otherwise, you're not going to get enough fights
Yeah.
as often as you want.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So what made you decide to transition? Because you most recently fought for one championship on their Warrior Series in MMA. So what made you transition from MMA to kickboxing orientation?
Yeah, I haven't even fought like a straight stand-up fight for probably 2 years.
Wow.
And I've always really had a lot more interest in it, but I guess I got caught up in trying to make it somewhere in MMA, and that's kind of where I started. I started everything at the same time. So even though I was
Really?
pulled towards striking, uh, I just thought like I got to do MMA. It's got to be
Huh.
MMA. This is the only path. And as I've gotten through that, and I don't see like a financial goal in fighting anymore. I want to make my money another way and just enjoy fighting.
Yeah.
I see that the thing that I really enjoy is striking, and now I can kind
Cool.
of focus on that.
That's neat. So it's a pure passion play at
Yeah,
this point.
absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. That's really cool. And you coach as well. So you're down at Easton Centennial. I think you run the program down there as far as striking's concerned.
Yeah, Valor is the owner of that gym, and he brought me on to head the striking department.
Cool.
Valor's like the coolest person on the planet. If you guys don't know him, go down to Easton Centennial and check him out. But yeah, so we got a lot of good coaches down there. We got Robbie Cole from Chicago and from the UK. He trained with Damien Trainer for a long time. We got Corey Galloway. If you guys don't know who he is, like he's sick.
Yeah.
We got Evan and Connor and Kate, Rachel, Donnie. We have so many good coaches on
Wow.
our staff now.
Yeah. And it sounds like a lot more striking oriented people as well.
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
Valor is predominantly on the ground, or at least he's
Yeah.
a jiu-jitsu black belt. So
Right, yeah.
that's where his proficiency
Yeah, he'll
lies.
take your legs. He'll take your legs from you. He's sick.
Yeah. So what weight class do you want to fight now that you're kind of in that kickboxing realm as opposed to MMA?
I see like 55 to 60. I think that's super welter to middle,
Mhm.
but really any weight class. When I first started MMA, I got caught up in, and you hear this anytime anyone's starting combat sports, what weight class should I be in? What weight
Sure.
class? But I just want challenges. Like whoever wants to get it can get it. Any show I can get on, I'll fight on. Whether it's the local show or the biggest show, I just want to keep fighting and gaining experience.
Yeah. So what's the biggest challenge then? Just finding a matchup that is interested in fighting you back?
Yeah, right now it's just, I don't know, just getting that contract signed. I've got a
Sure.
couple of potential fights. I think maybe one Warrior might put me on in a kickboxing fight back in Singapore, which would be cool.
Neat.
Or maybe lion fight. It sounds like might happen soon, but
Would that be in the U.S. lion fight?
yeah, it'd be Los Angeles, I think.
Okay, cool. Because
So
they're
we'll see.
the biggest North American Muay Thai promotion right now.
Yeah,
And then one is doing their part over in Asia.
yeah,
You know, there's a little more competition in Asia, just, I mean, purely with Thailand alone.
right.
But then also China and Kunlun fights.
Yeah,
And then what is Japan has their own version as well, right?
they have the Dream. They have
Dream,
K1.
yeah,
They
yeah,
have
yeah.
K1.
Cool.
K1 went away for a while. I think they weren't paying their fighters, but
Hmm.
I've been watching. You know who Takaru is?
Yes, of
Yeah,
course.
so I watch a lot of K1 lately, and man, that if I could fight anywhere in the world, it would probably be K1 because Japan has always been like something that drew me to martial arts.
Well, their kickboxing style is so dynamic. It's
Yeah.
way different. It's like very crisp boxing, but then flashy kicks, and their
Yeah.
knees come up quick at weird
Yeah.
angles. It's
Yeah,
cool.
it's really
Very
cool.
different from the Thai style, but
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by 5280 Wealth Management and their financial coaching program. For just $249 a month, you can add your own financial coach and advisor to your team. A financial coach at 5280 Wealth Management can help you analyze your cash flow, create a budget, a savings plan, and invest your money to reach your wealth building goals. 5280 Wealth Management assists you in aligning your values with your goals and then building a plan to achieve them. So take control of your finances and your future with 5280 Wealth Management. Visit 5280wealthmanagement.com/financial coaching to learn more and use code TPFB at checkout for 10% off your first month's service. Neat. So your record in kickboxing / Muay Thai right now is 3-0.
Yeah.
So when was you said the last time you fought was about 2 years ago in strictly kickboxing Muay Thai? Who was that for?
That was Max Muay Thai when I was living in Pattaya at Fairtex. Just got sponsored by Fairtex. We stayed there for like a year, and
Nice.
I was waiting for a fight, and they asked me if I wanted to fight for Max. I think a week later I fought for Max. It was a really fun experience.
I bet that's what I watch on TV all the time or on
Yeah.
YouTube. The Max Muay Thai fights. And those, I mean, you had, what, 2 fights at the time, I guess?
Yeah.
Because that was your third fight?
Yeah.
You probably fought someone with, what, 30, 40 fights just because that's the way that organization works. And all those ties have so many fights from the time they're
Yeah.
13.
Yeah.
Do you remember how many fights the guy had?
I have no idea. I didn't know
Probably a
knew
lot.
nothing about him. My trainer at the time was Y2K Yad Kakao, and
Cool.
he's super good. He fought Ogden Topic back in the day.
Yeah.
For Max and won the belt over Ogden.
Oh, wow.
So he's really good. And he has like a blown out knee and still trains every day and like
Damn.
deadlifts every day. Just a savage. But it was one of his friends that I fought, and he's like, "This is my friend. This is my friend." After the fight, he made me go like, "Hey, go say hi to my friend. You beat up my friend. Like, go say hi to him."
I mean,
"Oh,
that's
I'm
the cool
sorry."
part, though. It's all respect in,
Yeah, it's
in
all
Thailand,
respect.
you know?
Yeah.
You're behind the curtain with your opponent right before the fight.
Yeah,
You guys
yeah.
are looking at each other. It's
Yeah.
neat.
That's
But-
crazy. When I was in Thailand, I saw this all the time where like people would be getting ready for a big fight and the other guy would be at the gym with you cutting weight.
Oh, wow.
Like you guys are gonna fight tomorrow and you're both like helping each other cut weight. It's a different experience.
Yeah, there's that cool picture. I don't know if you saw it recently of Tony Ferguson and Donald Cerrone cutting weight together in the locker room.
Oh really?
They're like, in the traditional kind of like YMCA locker room with the lockers coming out and stuff. And
Yeah.
then Donald's on one side with his head down, and Tony's on the other side of it with his head down, 5 feet away from each other, and they're about to get in a bloody, bloody fight, and they're
Yeah.
just cutting weight together. It's
That's
neat.
cool. Yeah.
That's martial arts, right?
Yeah.
It's cool. So you said that one Warrior Series might be an option for you as far as kickboxing, and it would be in Singapore. I mean, how do you feel about that? Like traveling halfway across the world in different time zone to fight.
I love it. Yeah. Me and Grace have gone to Singapore a couple times for my fights, and it's just been a great experience. We go. I'm a nerd, so I like manga, so we'll go find like a
Yeah.
new manga that I'll get for the trip, and
Cool.
we'll go eat a bunch of food and just like travel around the city. And Singapore is one of the coolest cities, like very diverse and like lots of good food.
Huh. I've never been there, but yeah, I mean, it's high tech too, right? Like
Yeah, yeah.
skyscrapers everywhere,
Yeah.
not traditionally what
Really
you
cool
imagine.
city. Yeah.
So how do you like adjust? Like how early before the fight? How many days or weeks before the fight do you have to go out there to feel comfortable?
Like a week before they usually send us out. But
Okay.
I'm usually coming from Asia. Like the last few times, I fought for them 4 times in Singapore, and I was living in Thailand for 2 of them. And the other 2 where I was living here, I just flew to Thailand or to Bali first and adjusted before I got there.
So that example right there, how long were you in Bali or Thailand for that?
Bali for a month. I can't remember Thailand.
Cool. So I mean, you mentioned Topic. He's a
Yeah.
Westerner that's doing pretty successful over in one championship series. So, I mean, what his approach seems to be is more often than not lately, he's just spending, months at a time in Thailand, coming
Yeah.
back for a little bit, going back and training there. So you like that approach, kind of have your training camp in Asia if you're fighting in
Yeah.
Asia.
Yeah, weather and the culture, and there's just less stress. All you do is focus on the fight and really enjoy the balance of life. Where here it's like you have a lot more responsibilities and just a lot more distractions that kind of pull you away from the fight. So
Yeah.
it's a little bit more of a struggle here. There's like an extra fight involved when you're back home.
It's true. I feel like that's something that a lot of outsiders maybe struggle to understand quite how much the difference is or how big the difference is when you're in Thailand. And I mean, not only is that like you don't have as many stressors as an individual, but everybody there is just living that life of fighting, and it's no big deal.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Just put in the work.
When I was living in Phuket, it's like, when you're a fighter, it's kind of a special thing.
Yeah.
Because not many people around you are doing the same kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're in Phuket, it's the opposite. Because everybody there, especially on Tiger Road, is just like fit capital. It's just a community of CrossFit and Muay Thai and MMA and Jiu-Jitsu. So everybody you see is doing the same thing as you.
Run into them at the restaurants and the bars if you're going to the bars. Yeah. Neat. So 3-0. I mean, that means that though, if you go to Asia, you're gonna fight somebody with relatively higher experience, just because they are fighting from a younger age, and specifically kickboxing more than like MMA. I mean, does that faze you at all, or is just part of the process?
When I think my pro record is 4-3 in MMA, and my last 2 fights were against guys who were 15-3 and 20-something and something. I've always been trying to fight. I want to be challenged, and when I fought guys with equal or lesser records than me, they get smoked. So I need somebody who's gonna push me, whether I win or lose. Like, it's about the experience and challenging myself.
Yeah.
And if you look at these Thai fighters, they don't talk about like, oh, I have 170 wins. They're like, I have 200 fights.
Yep. No, very true. It's the experience, like you said, and it appears that you're. I don't know if experience is the word for it, but your like fight level seems to be above your experience or your record. Like you mentioned, 7 fights in MMA, 3 fights in kickboxing. But in your MMA fights, you fought for Bellator, you fought for one championship, these very elite organizations. Kickboxing, you fought for glory. I mean, it's not like you mentioned you're willing to take regional fights, but it's not like you did that on the way up.
Yeah.
I mean,
I kind of wish I would have a little bit, like if I have some advice for anybody coming up, like, take your time and just continue to get better and take the best challenge presented to you and work your way up. Because I think sometimes I might have got myself in so deep that I was like, oh man, I lost this fight. If I don't win this next fight, like, what do I do from here?
Sure. And that's kind of the world that I feel like a lot of people that are fighting both styles run into too, because they count all your fights together, even though it's not really stylistically what you've been training or, what you're experienced in. So going over to Asia, like you said, if you fight there and you go out there a month ahead of time for fight camp, you want to fight 155, 160. Is like, what does that weight cut look like? What are you cutting down from?
So when I've been fighting for it's really cool how they do it. I fight at 170 for them because there's a hydration test, so you can't cut water. So
what is the hydration test?
You just pee in a cup and they dip a stick in there and it has to read a certain number and it goes up to 250, and I'm usually like 13. Like, I'm always like super low on it because the way that it works for 170, I can just water load and then all the weight I need to come off comes off, and I don't have to do anything different.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's really nice. I'm sitting there eating, like, I'll go to Nando's. There's no Nando's in America, so I don't know if you guys know what that is, but it's like this amazing feed that Dan Hooker showed me when we fought in Australia. And it's just chicken, but it's the best chicken on the planet.
Cool.
And I'll get like a whole chicken, and I'll go back to my room and I'll eat half of it, and I'll check my weight, and I'm still good, and I'll eat the other half, like a whole chicken,
Damn.
The weight cut's been nice.
And that's like the day before weigh-ins, day of
so
weigh-ins.
you do 2 weigh-ins for this.
Okay.
Just to make sure you're not trying to like cheat the system.
Interesting.
And if you miss either one, then you have to weigh in the day of. But yeah, so I'll be on one of my days, I'll be checking my weight as I'm eating this chicken and then smashing the other half, hopefully.
Cool. So when you weigh in twice, when is the closest weigh into the fight? Like, how far out is that?
It'll be the 2 days before.
2 days before?
Yeah, so I think we usually fight on Friday, so it'd be Thursday and Wednesday we'd be weighing in.
Huh. Do you feel like it's a system that people can game, or is it you're pretty straight up?
You're going to feel it a little bit if you do. Like, I would see it if I was fighting at 155, then I would be feeling it. You know,
Sure.
if I had to do that 2 days in a row, that's a little harder to cheat.
Okay. So North America, you'll fight 155, 160 because you're truly cutting weight.
Yeah.
There's no hydration aspect to it. But if you're over at one championship specifically, you'll take that 170 fight.
Yeah.
So literally no weight cut then.
None. Yeah.
Huh.
I weigh 165, I think, right now. So
Oh, okay.
I would maybe eat 2 chickens.
Damn, we're the same weight.
Yeah.
But I feel like you're
Let's
taller than
go.
me. I'm bigger.
Let's go.
Cool. So 165. I mean, even then here, you're not cutting much, which is kind of kickboxing style. I mean, you're
Yeah.
seeing a little bit more weight cutting with these MMA guys cross
Yeah.
fighting, but in general, people aren't cutting that much weight.
Which is cool because it should be more about the skill.
Yeah,
You know, and
absolutely.
I found myself when I was trying to cut a lot of weight. I remember the first time I made 145. I fought this dude. I can't remember his name, but it was on Seth Daniels' like MMA him
The
show.
fight to win stuff.
It's like The Purge, where you're like, it's all closed off to the public. Everyone there, they make a lot of money for charities, I think, because the tickets
Oh.
are super expensive. Everyone's got tuxes and like amazing food that we don't get to eat, but
Huh.
I think it's a pretty cool show.
Like old school smokers.
Yeah.
Like literally like
Yeah.
ballroom watching
yeah, all
fights.
these people are like slapping your hand. You're like, I don't know who any of you are. Like, all wearing tuxes. It feels
but
like
they
The
paid to
Purge.
be there, so
Yeah, they
you
paid,
shake
like-
their hand.
I think Von Miller came there one time
Yeah,
for one of the
cool.
shows and like raised some money for him too.
Cool.
But yeah, just a crazy experience.
So that was so his fight to win's the jiu-jitsu side. What is it called on the
I think it was MMA him.
MMA
Yeah.
MMA?
Yeah.
Cool.
Something like that.
And that was Denver based.
Yeah, and
the
I
time,
fought
at
this guy at 145, and he was the biggest dude I'd fought at the time, and I was like, it doesn't matter. I don't need to like cut and deplete myself to fight smaller guys and to like try and get ahead sooner.
Yeah.
It's just about yourself. Like, what
Yeah.
weight do you fight at? Like,
Yeah.
what weight do you perform the best at?
What weight did you fight MMA at?
I fought, as a pro, I never fought at 55. I fought from 145 to 170
Huh.
with a bunch of catch weights in between.
Okay.
I never got a 155 fight as a
Huh.
pro.
So catch weight's being like 160-ish?
Yeah, I think 145, 50, 60, 65, and 70. I think I fought at all those weights.
Seems to be kind of like the average size person. So
Yeah.
you got a lot of matchup potential there.
Yeah.
Huh. And then you won't have to cut to 55 if you're fighting 160 or above. Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you do differently for like that type of weight cut versus in Asia? Like, are you just water loading and that takes care of it? Or do you find yourself having to like go to a sauna or?
I do a bath.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I do a salt bath. And I usually do one bath for like 45 minutes, and then the burrito, you wrap yourself in
Yep.
blankets and towels for like 15 minutes, and I'm on weight.
Huh. So the idea of the salt is that it's like blocking your pores? Clogging them?
The salt helps pull from your skin as opposed to your muscles, so you don't feel the fatigue the same.
Oh, okay. Okay. So like your skin, that's like the dehydration test where you pinch in, it like stays
Yeah,
up.
yeah.
That's what you're going for
Mhm,
as
right.
opposed to depleting the
it-
muscles
yeah,
and cramping and
yeah.
stuff. Cool.
Yeah, I feel it when I'm in the sauna. I feel it in like my kidneys. Everything's
yeah.
getting tight, especially those 45 cuts.
45 is a lot. I mean, you're like what, 6 foot, 6'1"?
Yeah, and I used to walk around like 85. I used
Whew.
to not pay as
Whew.
much attention to what I eat.
Whew. I mean, I think about it all the time. Like cutting down to 47 would be tough for me. 45, that's low.
I think that I'm like forever like cursed by it too. I can't eat that much sugar. I've had so many like hard cuts. I think that if I eat anything that's like inflammatory, my shoulders and my back, I feel like I'm injured for a
Yeah.
couple of days until I clean my diet up. So,
Mm,
so
know
I
that
eat
feeling.
clean all the time now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what is the normal diet for you, like Monday through Friday?
Garbanzo beans, black beans, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, rice, and
Cool.
then some protein.
So super lean. I mean, I imagine you naming those first means that's kind of the core of it, and then the
Yeah.
meat's more, the protein's more just like a supplement.
Yeah.
Interesting. So very lean.
Yeah. Yeah.
What kind of meat? Like, are you
I love salmon, but sometimes
Wow.
we get burnt out on salmon. Me and Grace go too hard on salmon, so switch it up with some steak or chicken or
But that is like super, super lean then.
yeah.
Damn. I
Yeah.
think people could take note of that. That's a good diet.
Yeah, I just want to feel good all the time,
Sure, sure. Especially if you want to train at the highest level and be
Yeah.
ready to compete at any time.
Yeah, so if there's any fights tomorrow, I can make weight.
That's right. That's right. So what do you think you're walking around at right now? 165?
65 today, yeah.
Okay, cool. So what is now that you're no longer in MMA and it's strictly kickboxing Muay Thai, what does a normal week of training look like?
With coaching right now, I just hit up everybody I can and we'll drill. Maybe I'm probably drilling and hitting pads once or twice a day, anytime that I can, and then coaching outside of that, and then trying to work in with the guys while I'm coaching too.
Cool, cool. So so pad work and drilling, like
Lots of
partner drilling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good looks.
Hmm.
Do you do any bag work?
Yeah, I do a lot of bag work too. That's like the third option, you know. If I feel like I need a little bit more work, then I'll do bag or like some shadow footwork, some drills I learned from my Russian boxing coaches when I was in Thailand at Fairtex. Uh, yeah, lots of work on my own for sure.
That's a good point. I mean, you've gotten a lot of different looks, and your style is very dynamic too. You move around a lot. You got a lot of different footwork, different angles, and certainly a kickboxing orientation. But clearly, you could do Muay Thai too. You have the
Yeah.
knees and the striking ability. So, I mean, where is it? Just you've kind of pieced this all together from your travels, or like how did your style develop?
You know, I heard this saying. Dominic Cruz did an interview, and he said, "If you just watch me and just try to do what I do, then you'll only ever be a B version of me." And I was like, "Oh, so I got to learn from a bunch of different people, you know?" And I started out with really good coaches. I started out as Zingano, and we trained under Sak Mongol, who's a legend in Muay Thai. I learned how to kick really well from him. I learned some defense, and then I moved on to learning from Christian. I actually fought against Mark Huerta, my
Christian
first fight.
Allen?
Christian Allen, yeah.
Yeah.
And I fought Mark Huerta. He was the top 55er in the state. They just like literally threw me to the wolves,
Wow.
which was pretty cool though, you know, because I thought I was coming out and I was gonna be the man.
Yeah.
And he beat me up. He beat me up. But then I realized, you know, I need to learn how to wrestle.
Sure.
So I went to high altitude. I started learning from Christian. I started training at Muscle Farm, and then I moved to Thailand. So I trained with them for like a month, and then I moved to Thailand for I think 6 months. I learned from Dylan Fussell at Team Quest Thailand. I learned from my trainer Crew Tiger, and then Mark Abelardo, some really good strikers. I came back here. I started training at Dwayne's. I trained with Christian a lot more at that point.
Wow.
Just moved around a lot. Went back to Asia, trained with Dan Hooker for like 6 months at Tiger, trained with him like 6 months here at Elevation. And I learned a lot from Dan. Dan really like changed how I saw the game. Instead of being like a button masher, just like trying to do some moves, I really learned how to manipulate people's position and guards to open things up.
It's something he's very good at. And, I mean, you just look at his last, 5 fights. I mean, half of them are knockouts from him doing just that, setting them up and then finishing them with one strike, two strikes.
You see him out there and he's just jabbing and moving and jabbing and moving. But if you watch how he's placing his jab, like he's getting you to do different things. Or, like, drawing you into these traps where he's going to land that knee or his
knee
big
up the
shots.
middle is brutal.
And he's huge now.
Yeah.
When he was fighting at 45, he was really depleting himself, I think.
Yeah.
His athleticism is insane.
He's got a tough fight coming up, though. It's a good matchup in general. I mean, either one can win that fight. Him and Paul Felder.
Yeah, that's a cool fight.
Yeah, the main event. But both guys, I mean, I guess Felder's a little more of a banging style, but both very clean Muay Thai techniques.
Yeah, very technical guys.
And that's kind of what's interesting about how you were just describing briefly kind of that journey of how your styles developed. I mean, you named half Muay Thai people and half kind of Dutch kickboxing-oriented people, and that's what your style looks like. I mean, firsthand from sparring with you, it's a very clean style, very technical style, but dynamic. Like I was saying, you move around a lot. It's not like the Muay Thai where you're traditionally in front of you, but you've got the Muay Thai style kicks, and then you've got the Dutch style with the body shots and the low kicks.
Yeah.
It's a cool style.
Yeah, there's a lot of TC in there too.
Yeah.
A lot of Tony Cummins in there for sure.
Absolutely, and he's running the boxing commission in Colorado right now. But how did you kind of first start working with him?
He was running the Easton team at the time, and he's actually one of the most impactful coaches I've had, and definitely still like my main coach and my manager now.
Cool.
So, Tony's awesome.
Nice.
Yeah.
And he's got a range of experience as well. I mean, just speaking more to your hybrid style, but the people you're learning from kind of developed their own hybrid style too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So moving forward from here, I mean, your last fight was for one championship series. How long ago was that?
I think it was last April, so I think we're looking at 10 months now.
So how do you navigate like finding fights? Like, what is that process? Are you just on the phone with promoters? You're like DMing them?
Yeah, everybody that I know that has any connection or like a direct link that is a promoter or a matchmaker, I'm hitting them up. Like, I'll fight anybody. Give me a fight. Like, I'm ready tomorrow. Let's go.
So at what point do you start talking shit to fighters?
And I just don't ever want to go to that route. Like, you guys can all get it. Like, you can all get it. Anybody watching this, you can get it in a respectful manner. You know? Like, I just want to fight. I want to fight good guys. So if you think you can push me, then like, let your promoter know. Let's go.
That's right. Sign on the dotted line.
Yeah.
Cool. So you mentioned kind of what it looks like when you're just training in general, splitting the time with coaching. How does that change when you do have a fight and you're in fight camp? What is the fight camp differences from regular training?
The only difference is going to be the intensity of some of the trainings. I'll start doing my VO2 workouts to really get into shape and really get that mental push.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll just be, I'll hold myself more accountable to trainings. Like these will be the set trainings for the week, and then maybe I'll have some variable ones, but the set ones are not going to get missed, and they're going to get my full attention and effort.
I see.
So pretty much the same, just a small adjustment.
Sure. Do you find that you need to do strength and so just for context, I mean, MMA guys, it seems like a lot of them have to do strength and conditioning. There's a little more wrestling involved, a little more moving bodies around. Do you feel like you need to do strength and conditioning outside of your core technical work for kickboxing, or do you feel like pad work, bag work is enough?
Yeah, I think I go to Landau's and I
Oh, you
train
do?
with Aaron Porter, but it's mostly injury prevention and then just trying to build on the athleticism. If you look at guys like Tenshin, who's probably he's going to be probably the best kickboxer of all time by the time he's done. He's been working on his athleticism his whole life, and that's part of why you see those reflexes and that explosiveness. So
Yeah.
it's definitely something, no matter what you can always be improving your athleticism, and you should have somebody who specializes in that, I think, helping you.
Yeah, and Landau, that's the go-to in Colorado.
Yeah, especially Aaron Porter.
Cool.
I'm just kidding. You guys
Shout
are
out
all
to Aaron
awesome.
Porter.
They're all awesome out there.
So how long have you been working with them?
Landau's, I've been there, I guess, maybe 5 years, but on and off because I go back and forth to Asia,
Sure, yeah. And I mean, that's something I want to dive into more. I mean, just you've spent significant amount of time in Asia between Bali, Singapore, and Thailand. How did you first decide that you were going to go? I mean, you briefly mentioned, and then I went to Asia, but what kind of drove that initially?
I think, when I first started training, I was like, how do I need to do this? I'm pulled up my 401k. I was very committed, like day one. And I wanted to figure out what was going to be the best path. I was 26 when I started. What's going to be the best path to, like, try and do this is the last thing that I'm really going to do with my life,
Cool.
At least athletically.
Yeah.
And I figured out my way to do it to start was going to be Zingano's. It made a lot of sense to me. They had a UFC fighter in Cat, and it was close by where I was living. I pulled up my 401k so I could live off of that for a while and just focus on training.
Wow.
And then I lost that first fight, and I was like, okay, well, let's go to another level with this. And I knew of Team Quest Thailand in Chiang Mai, which is my favorite city in the world, still to this day.
Chiang Mai.
Yeah, amazing city. And I just flew out there on like 2 weeks' notice and stayed out there for 6 months. And, I landed off the plane, and they're telling me, like, hey, go get a room, like, go chill. And I was like, nah, I slept in an airport for 7 days to get there.
Wow.
Because I flew on a standby flight. I had a buddy pass. And every day at noon, they would come tell me I was in Detroit. They would tell me that the flight was full. Damn. And that was it for the day. And I'm like, I don't have enough money to go get a hotel. Like, I'm sleeping under one of the chairs at the airport right next to the terminal.
You can get away with it.
Yeah.
In an international airport.
Yeah, right? 7 days. I remember the people would be cleaning at night, and they'd be like, this guy's still here? Like, get him out of here. And that last day, they turned me down, and I was turned away like, oh, man, like, what am I going to do? I'm eating, like, Popeyes and vending machine food for, like, 7 days now. And somebody got kicked off the plane for whatever reason, and they're like, hey, you want to get on? I was like, let's do it. Snuck on the flight. And right when I got there, they're like, go drop your bags off. I'm like, come back tomorrow, like, you need to adjust. I'm like, no, let's train. And I put my stuff down, took my pants off, had shorts underneath.
Cool.
Got in the ring and started hitting pads.
Dude, I mean, it's 100% commitment. It's something that, I've talked with a lot of the past fighters on here about, like, the need for immersion if you're truly going to approach it, as a professional, like, that's necessary. And not only did you literally invest in yourself financially, selling out your 401k to do it, but you made this commitment time-wise, too. You're going to stay in an airport for 7 days to do what it takes to get there.
By any means, right? By any means.
But I don't think, that's scary for a lot of people, right? That commitment and putting themselves out there where they can be vulnerable. I mean, that's the definition of vulnerability. You don't have shelter, right? Outside of this bench. But, so, I mean, how did you feel so confident in doing that? Like, what was pushing you?
I just have good support. I know no matter how hard I fall on my face, I've always got my family behind me, and it's never going to be like something I can't come back from. So I think that it's really, I don't think about it, but I feel like that's got to be what it is. I know that if I fall down hard enough, like, I'm going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's how you learn too, you know? You fall down and you get up and you keep going.
That's right. So the first time you went out to Thailand, you were with Team Quest, and they were kind of an early pioneer, at least in Thailand, as far as going into MMA. So were you training MMA at that time?
Yeah, I had to
With
like earn
everything?
my spot on the team when
Hmm.
I first got there. But I trained for like a week or two, and Dylan let me come start training with the pro team. And I learned so much from those guys about just how to be a professional, like how to eat, how to take naps so you can train the second session hard,
yeah.
you know, like just really learned how to be a professional from those guys.
Yeah.
Mark Abelardo, Cole Smith, Jeremy Kennedy, all these guys are
Jeremy
on
Kennedy.
big shows now.
Yeah.
And it shows why.
Yeah, Jeremy Kennedy, UFC to PFL.
Yeah.
I think he might be regional right now,
He's
but he's still
in
very,
Brave.
very good.
Yeah,
Brave,
he's
that's
in
right,
Brave,
that's
which
right.
is
He did
another
sign
good
with them.
show.
Yeah, they're emerging.
Yeah.
And they're signing top talent. It's not like they're just
Yeah,
some.
good guys. Shorty's on that show.
That's right,
Jose
JT.
Torres.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So I mean, with Team Quest, were they paying for you to live there and train there, or do you have to pay for that at that point?
Yeah, I paid. So if I would have waited, if I would have paid like a month, I could have got the rest for free, I think. But I had the money and I was like,
Paid all up
I'm
front.
here. I paid up front and then I got sponsored after the first month. So
Oh, cool. So then the next 5 months you were just living.
yeah, just doing my thing. I had an
Carefree.
apartment and my apartment was $60 a month and it was like not a great apartment, but it was unbelievable because like my shower was out on this back like balcony
Cool.
looking into this wooded jungle. Is
Wow.
really cool, yeah.
Neat.
Yeah.
Neat. So what are you eating when you're in Thailand?
everything. Eating like 3 meals for every meal because
Yes.
it's so cheap in Chiang Mai especially. So go get like 1 plate of pad thai, 1 bowl of khao soi, and like whatever else.
Yeah.
Everything.
So did you fight while you were out there at that time?
Yeah. So when I first went to Chiang Mai, I lost my first fight, and then I wanted to rebound from that, and they offered me a tournament. I think I got there in December. I left December like 12th, so this is like right before Christmas.
Mhm.
Like my Christmas will be training,
Yeah.
And then I got this fight in January, and I ended up fighting 3 times that day. It would have been a 4th, but last
Wow.
guy didn't want to get it, so I just
So an MMA tournament.
yeah.
Wow. 3 times in one day MMA is intense.
Yeah, it was cool though. It
Yeah.
was really cool. Then I fought guys from all over the world, like the first guy was from Thailand, the second guy I'm not even sure. Last guy was from Sweden,
Huh.
and I trained with the last guy
Huh.
in Chiang Mai
Cool.
at Team Quest.
Oh, interesting.
He was
So
there
it's at
getting
your
ready
own
for the
gym?
tournament. Yeah.
Damn. So that just happens from time to time where you're
I
gonna fight
knew
a
it,
guy
yeah.
from your gym?
I knew I was gonna fight him.
Interesting.
I knew I was gonna fight him.
So are you
Yeah.
guys training together, like
Yeah.
literally partnering up and stuff?
And I made sure he knew every time we partnered up that I was gonna win if we fought.
Cool. Getting in his head already. I
Yeah.
like that.
It was a fun fight. I actually I got dropped. He hit me with an overhand, and I remember just looking at it. And then he hit me with 2 more, and I'm just looking at it. And then he hit me again, and it dropped me. And then I got back up, but I was like, oh man, like not reacting, just caught up in the moment. 3rd fight, like, yeah.
So
it was
you
crazy.
won? You won your first 3?
Yeah, I won all of them. And then there was supposed to be 1 more guy, this guy from the UK, but he didn't want to fight. He said he was too banged up.
Huh. So you win those fights. What made you come back? I mean, you said you were in Chiang Mai for 6 months at
Yeah.
Team Quest. What kind of ended that period of training?
I just decided to come back to the States, and I ended up fighting Lucas Diaz. Lost that fight. Yeah, I just wanted to come back, and I knew I had such a good team here with Muscle Farm and Elevation, all the coaches and teammates.
Muscle Farm was kind of the original Elevation before Elevation, and then,
Yeah,
or I guess they were the sponsor.
right, yeah.
Interesting.
That was a cool spot.
Yeah.
Basketball court, all the weights. The jacuzzi had like a treadmill on the bottom of it. Just ice bath, everything.
Damn.
The place was cool.
Sounds nice.
Yeah, and then we had like supplements and stuff there. They really took care of us.
Huh. So you mentioned you started at 26.
Yeah, I was 26.
Just straight martial arts. That was your first experience with it.
I think I trained some taekwondo when I was a little kid.
Sure. Sure. So what made you decide to walk into a martial arts gym and start that?
I got out of the army, and I was just like trying to figure out what I wanted to do next. And I really just have always been an athlete, and all I wanted to do is be an athlete. And combat had been a big part of my life for a while at that
Right.
point. And I thought, this is probably the only way that I can still compete at the highest level in something.
So how did you, I mean, were you thinking about it while you were in the military?
Yeah, here and there. I watched a little bit of fights. I think 2010 was the first time I really started watching fights. John Jones versus Ryan Bader.
Yeah.
Like,
They just put that highlight on
they?
Instagram today. Yeah.
remember John Jones like leapfrogged over his back at one part of the fight, and I was like, whoa. "Oh, this is crazy."
He threw everything at him in that fight.
Yeah.
Everything but the kitchen
Yeah,
sink.
he's creative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, just to get on a little tangent, but that's what I think makes him so dangerous. That you have no idea what he's going to
Yeah,
throw, and
very
he hides it
unpredictable.
all well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very
I mean,
unpredictable and really good control.
he's got a big fight coming up this week. Or I don't know. I guess they're all big fights for him at this
Yeah.
point because he's a champ. But
Yeah.
it'll be a good matchup. Dominic Reyes. He
What do you
spent some
think?
time here. I think John Jones is pretty much unbeatable.
Yeah.
I think him and Mighty Mouse I never bet against.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah.
What if he fought Stipe?
I think he probably takes that.
Yeah, I think
What
so
did
too.
we worried about with Stipe? Because I mean, not to be offensive at all. I just think that he beat Ngannou by taking him down. I don't know
Yeah.
that you're taking John Jones down.
Yeah, I don't think so.
JUCO national champion. I
Yeah.
think he's got that part taken care of, and then the kicks at range
Yeah.
can keep Stipe from coming in. The teeps, I don't know. I think John Jones is trouble for anybody. Ngannou's a scary one for him just because of the power.
And that's a huge difference in size at that point.
Huge
Stipe
difference.
is probably pretty similar.
Yeah, Stipe could probably make light heavyweight if he cared to. He just
Yeah.
doesn't need to.
Yeah.
But no, I think John Jones, that's his route to being champ.
Yeah, now's the time.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I don't think he's getting Curtis.
No, I don't think he'll mess around with Curtis. That'd be tough for him.
I
Just
think
because, again, size difference, and Curtis has the wrestling ability. I would put
Yeah.
Curtis's wrestling ability above Stipe's personally.
Yeah.
I might be biased there, but
No, I agree. I
Yeah.
might also be biased.
So I mean, 26 is kind of the beginning of your martial arts career. At that point, what are you thinking? You're thinking, I'm gonna go be a pro?
Yeah, absolutely. I want the UFC is the first thing you really think of, I guess, or at least the first thing I thought of. So from day one, my goal was to go to the UFC and be the champion, or at least get as high as I could. And I remember being at Zingano and they would joke about it like it wasn't realistic. And the reason I had gone there was because Kat was there.
That's what I was gonna say. You see, you're in Colorado. You see Kat Zingano. She's UFC.
Yeah.
I want UFC.
Yeah.
I'll go there.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, but they kind of, I don't think that the guys I was training with at the time saw that as a realistic goal. And so I kind of knew that I was going to have to move on eventually.
They didn't see that for themselves, or they didn't see it for you?
For themselves, I think.
Yeah. I mean, that is a challenge, right? You kind of or you do want to be around like-minded people.
Yeah.
Or that have the same vision at the very least.
Yeah. That's kind of what happened with Muscle Farmers. I knew that there's a lot of guys there that were doing what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Like Neil, that
Right.
I could go learn from. And they're really open and like giving with their knowledge and experience.
So that was what, Leister Bowling running that
yeah,
back then?
Leister's the man.
Yeah,
I miss
and
Leister.
again, wrestling knowledge right there, a
Yeah.
wealth of wrestling knowledge. I think that's what he does now, right? He's coaching
Yep.
like kids wrestling.
Yep.
Cool. So you were working with them, Neil Magny. So that's what you do right after Zingano's then?
Yeah, so right after Zingano, I started training with Elevation, and then I ended up going to Thailand. And when I came back, I was still at Zingano's for a little while, but me going to Muscle Farm kind of spoiled that a little bit. So eventually, I had to just make a choice, and I ended up sticking with Elevation.
Sure. So when did you take your first fight? How far into training?
I think I was 14 months. I couldn't take a fight until I got a blue belt, so
Okay.
I had to get a blue belt.
All right. So it takes you about 14 months to get your blue belt in jiu-jitsu, and
Yep.
then you decide you're going to take your first MMA fight?
Yep.
And who's that for?
That was Mark Huerta for Prize Fighting Championships.
Okay.
Another Seth Daniels show.
Yeah, local thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, cool. So and you ended up doing like 8 amateur MMA fights?
I think, yeah, 8 or 9. I think it was either 6-2 or 7-2.
So when you go to Thailand, those are technically amateur fights, at
Mhm.
least on the front end?
Yeah.
Do they differentiate, or you just are doing it more by like the opponent's skill level?
Yeah, it was by skill level. There's no pros, I think, invited to the tournaments. I think
Oh,
that's how it
interesting.
was.
Because, I mean, if you go fight in Thailand, Muay Thai, regardless of
Yeah.
your rank in here, you're just going to fight some dude that's been paid every fight he's had his whole life anyway,
yeah.
if you're fighting a Thai guy.
Yeah.
So, but they have that differentiated for MMA.
For MMA, they did, yeah.
That's probably safe.
Yeah.
So you go there, you get 3 more fights under your belt. So were those fights 2, 3, and 4 for you?
Yep.
Okay. So you go there, get 3 fights under your belt. You come back, and then at that point you're with Elevation and Muscle Farm. So did you take your next fight in the U.S.?
Yeah, it was against Lucas Diaz, who was the jiu-jitsu coach for Bang Muay Thai at the time.
Oh, that's why I see his name get tossed around by a lot of
Yeah.
guys locally. That makes sense.
Yeah, Lucas is a really good guy. I trained with him for a long time after that. I
Because
actually
you were
trained
at
with him
Bang.
like the week before that fight.
Interesting.
Yeah, because he was coming to Muscle Farm with Dwayne.
Sure. And I mean, it sounds like you've been across all the gyms here. You've also been a Factory X.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like when you go in and out of these gyms, how do they feel about that?
I don't know. We live in like a very tribal society. I think humans are very tribal in general.
Absolutely.
But martial arts to me is about sharing, growing, and giving back. And I got to learn from all those guys, and I hope I gave all those gyms a little bit back too. And I'm always like willing to give back to those gyms in the future if they want my assistance, you know.
Yeah.
So, and I have no problems with anybody at any of those gyms, but it's kind of hard for me to flow in and out.
Sure.
Because
sure.
it comes down to business, I think, at the end of the day, which martial arts to me is not. It's not business.
Yeah. It is interesting, this is the prize fighting business, right?
Right, yeah.
But it's more just, the idea is to give the insight into what that looks like, because it is, like you said, very tribalistic in certain avenues, not only with the gyms, but with the promotions too. We were talking about it before the show, how even regional shows, a lot of times they'll try to lock fighters down for multi-fight contracts or whatever it is. And, that's can be good because they're guaranteeing they're trying to find you fights, but it's also challenging because then you can't travel and grow and get these different looks from other organizations either.
Yeah.
So how have you navigated that? I mean, you mentioned you just generally have an openness, right? You're willing to learn, you're willing to give back, but how do you handle it with promotions? Have you dealt with that where they want to lock you down for multiple fights?
No, not really. Even when I'm fighting for one, they tell me if you want to go fight. They've been so cool. Like One Championship is easily the coolest promotion I've worked with. If I want to go fight Muay Thai or kickboxing outside, just let them know. If I want to go fight MMA somewhere else, just let them know.
Neat.
And like my contract's on the line when I'm fighting those fights, but if I want to make that choice, they support me in that. Because they know that you have to make a living off of it, you know?
Right.
So I think for the most part, they're all about it.
In your opinion, what kind of separates the promotions? Because again, you fought for a lot of the top ones: Glory, Bellator, One Championship. What is attractive about one promotion over another?
The UFC's got the green room. I don't know if you've ever heard of the green room, but after you fight, they have like ice cream dispensers and like they have the craziest spread of food after you're done. So you're just sitting back there. I remember I cornered Dan in UFC Melbourne against Jason Knight, and when we were in the back, there's like Big Nog and Misha Tate and ice cream and ribs or whatever else. Like
cool.
That was definitely noticeable. But outside of that, just the relationships, just like how they treat you and how they talk to you. And with Bellator, they seemed like good friends. And with one, it was like family. Like they're just really, really good people. Both promotions. Every promotion I've fought for, I really haven't had any like negative experiences with anybody. But
what is a bad experience then? That they're just kind of transactional with everything, and
I guess
you show up,
just cold,
you fight, get paid later.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, because this martial arts and fighting, it's got to be more than just about going there and getting a win.
Right.
Because that means that you only get to experience that 3 or 4 times a year. Yeah. Or my best year, I fought 8 times that year, but that doesn't happen very often.
No,
you know? So
it's a lot.
If you need that validation from the fight itself, like that's a rough way to keep going, because this is a long journey, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a really good point. I just read a Kobe quote, because, he recently passed away, unfortunately, But one thing that he said, it was something about, like, being late night in the gym and, like, when you're shooting his baskets.
That's the dream.
Yeah, that's the journey. That's the dream. It's not the end destination. Is that maybe, did you post that? It might have been.
Maybe. That's my hero. So.
Yeah. I mean, dude, it's very true, right? Like, that's when you're having a good time. That's the flow moment that everyone is seeking. That time or the moment where time flies by and you don't even notice it. 2 hours later, you're like, oh, I just did that.
Yeah, that's what's really cool about this sport is like you're gonna go in and you're gonna go in the gym and you're gonna get your butt kicked by some really cool people, and then you're gonna sit down and they're gonna talk to you about like what you could do better. And you get to grow every single day. You know, like meet really cool people and learn about your body and how to keep it functioning at its best.
Yep.
And like Kobe saying that is the journey, that is the dream. Like I think we don't realize that until we're missing it, right? Like until your body's breaking down and you're like, oh man, I don't get to go train today. Like I don't know how to. That's my therapy. That wasn't just like I didn't just do that because I had to so I can win a fight. Like
absolutely.
That's how you deal with everything going on inside.
Yep.
You know?
Keeps you balanced.
Yeah.
Keeps you even keeled.
Yeah.
It's very true. It's very true. So, I mean, before you're 26 and you're in the military, like, do you feel like the military and the camaraderie there was what was fueling that or feeding that fuel? Like how did you have it before age 26? How'd you find that balance?
Yeah, athletically, you know, like
Sure.
finding challenges. I was in recon platoon. I was in sniper section. I was always trying to
Damn.
be the best at something, you know. So I guess I've always kind of followed that path. Basketball and sports before that, just trying to be the best at something, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and so then martial arts is kind of the avenue for it, but
Yeah.
you fall in love with the journey
Yeah.
more so than the fight results.
Yeah, the coolest parts aren't the win. Really I couldn't tell you specific moments of me winning fights, but I could tell you a lot of like really cool times I've had training and getting ready for fights and experiences win or lose after the fight, like celebrating with your friends and your family. Like, yeah,
That is a very good point that I've actually never thought about even on my own. But like, I mean, just without recognizing it, you do like you think back, the fight's just a blur. Really, it's like all the work that you put in and the people that helped you get there, and then the feeling afterward of, being with your team and your coach, and it's a good point.
Yeah.
So tell me more about Asia. I mean, you spent significant time there over kind of 2 years of your life. I mean, which is, look at the grand scheme of things, that's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So you first went out there, trained at Team Quest, came back, fought a little bit more. What was the prompt to get back out there?
Just the success I had being out there the first time, like the growth that I had in that first trip. And I probably didn't realize what it was at the time, that it was just that there's not any distractions and I can just focus on what I need to focus on. But I just got drawn back to Thailand. I went back to Team Quest for like 2 weeks, and then Dan was training for Jason Knight, so I came down there and just worked with him for 6 months exclusively.
Wow.
Then we went to Australia so he could fight Jason, and I fought Sam Hibbard for Hex in Australia, which was a really cool experience. Australia is awesome too. Melbourne is really cool. Like,
Never been.
Another like super diverse city with tons of really good food. Food.
Yeah, that's the key to all this. So, I guess if you're gonna talk about food, what's the first thing you eat after your fights?
Nando's. Nando's is my favorite. I want to open a Nando's in America just so I can eat it.
Have you been in North Carolina?
I have been in North Carolina.
Some good,
that's one of my favorite cities.
Out there.
Yeah, and fried pickles.
Yes.
Yeah, fried pickles.
So you go back to Team Quest. You end up with Dan Hooker, helping him train for 6 months. Where do you guys do that? Is that at Tiger?
Yeah, we did it at Tiger.
Tiger Muay Thai.
And they called us. They always called us Team Touch Butt because we just did like our own thing on the side. It would just be me, Dan, and our boxing coach Saeed, just running drills every day.
What is it like at Tiger? Because there's so many people there. How do you get attention?
Well, we just did our own thing. Like they had their team, and we'd go spar with them and train with them, and they're all awesome. George runs the team, and George Hickman.
Yep.
And yeah, just super cool team. Mallory was out there at the time too.
Mallory Martin.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
So it was definitely a cool place to train, but we really just did our own thing. We had a program we set up where we'd run these sessions where in the morning we'd run let's say on Monday we'd run a green session in the morning so your heart rate doesn't really go over 120. We'd wear our heart rate monitors. And then at night we'd have a red session. So you have one green, one red every day. And so that red one you're pushing over 180. You're like really pushing. Then the next morning you'd have another red. So they'd be back to back, but on opposite days. So you never have two reds in one day.
Interesting.
And then you have so much rest before the next red. So if you have a red that morning, you have a green that night and another green the next morning. So you don't have another red until like 18 hours later. So you get good rest between. It's the best I've ever felt.
Yeah, man.
But that's hard to do on like a structure of a team. It was
right.
really easy to do with just three of us.
Oh no, it's so hard to do. I mean, you're almost like shamed into pushing.
Yeah.
Both times of the day. And then that's when that necessary nap comes in the afternoon. Yeah. Otherwise, there's no chance you're getting up in the evening to do it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
So how does that work when you go to a place like Tiger? I mean, are they giving you a hard time about that? Like outside of nicknames, above and beyond nicknames? Or is it something they're pretty accepting of because they know you're professional and you're going to approach it the way you approach it?
Yeah, they're always like super supportive. But maybe if Dan wasn't there, it would have been a little bit different. But
sure.
I had the cover of Dan, so we were all good.
But because at that time he had probably already been on their fight team and stuff, because he was one of the winners of that Tiger Muay Thai tryouts, right?
Yeah.
One of the early winners.
Yeah, and you got Kai and Alex, all those guys were there, and he had a long running relationship with those guys. So Yeah.
I am jealous of the proximity of Australia to Thailand. So they can
Yeah.
just jump on a plane, get over there in a few hours.
That's why I think that's why the striking's so good there. The
Absolutely.
striking is on another level in those countries.
Yeah, I mean, even Muay Thai champions like Nathan Corbett.
Yeah. Yeah, John Wayne Parr. And,
John Wayne Parr, yeah, I
Yeah.
can't believe I forgot about him,
yeah,
of course.
Tons of them, right? Tons
And
of them.
now, you know, I went to Revolution, or it was Sitsong Pingyong Phuket back then, and he recently left. But Chad Collins, another Australian that's
Yeah.
fighting on the international scene, the highest level, fighting for WBC belts and stuff. It's wild to see how successful Australians are
Yeah,
in
and
the
then
Muay Thai scene.
New Zealand, you got Israel and you got Brad
Yep.
Riddell. Both
Yep.
guys in the UFC right now.
Yeah,
both
Riddell's
with
doing
60
well.
wins.
Yeah.
He beat John Wayne Parr. I think he beat him twice.
Who did?
Brad.
Really?
He fought him twice. I think.
Oh, wow, I had no idea.
Small gloves too.
Damn. Oh, yeah, because that was what John Wayne Parr was all about near the end of his
he
career.
He kind of started that, yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when he talked about it originally. It was only, 5-6 years ago that they started doing that. I thought that was crazy. Like, why would you
crazy.
do it?
It is crazy. That is crazy.
But now they're doing it in Thailand.
Yep.
You mentioned Max. What is the other one? I don't even know if it's the
MX?
same. MX. Is
Yep.
it the same organization or
No,
is it separate?
Muay Extreme.
Okay.
My friend Kana fights for them. He's super dangerous little Hawaiian and knocks dudes out. So
Yeah.
it like works perfect for him.
4-ounce gloves, Muay Thai style. Now
Yeah.
one championship picked it up
Yeah.
too.
They did a kickboxing fight like it too.
Oh yeah, that was recently, huh?
I think it was middleweights. That's
Yeah.
scary. Middleweight kickboxers with 4-ounce gloves. That's
Powerful,
crazy.
powerful human beings.
Yeah. Or Yod.
Yeah.
Yod Sinclair wearing 4-ounce gloves.
Well, that's why he lost, I think.
Yeah.
Right? It's just a little different. He wasn't used to it and got
the
caught.
defense, you think?
Yeah, I mean, those
The
gloves,
shell
they
just
don't
doesn't
block
work.
anything.
Yeah, nothing.
Especially Muay Thai. I mean, they're blocking a lot with their
Mhm.
hands.
Yeah, I think Overeem learned that lesson too.
Yes.
Because he used to have that when he was Ubereem, he had that high Dutch guard,
Dude.
and it just doesn't work that
Whew.
great.
I love watching Alistair's career.
Me too. He's a beast.
Yeah, dude. And man, his K1 days, his early
Yeah.
UFC days. I mean, even now he's doing great. Like he was winning that fight all 3 rounds, in my opinion, with Royce Strike,
Yeah.
another Dutch kickboxer, before he just got caught at the end there.
Yeah, I really think he's the greatest heavyweight ever.
I mean,
Accolades, like
yeah,
he's
I
done
mean,
it all.
what didn't he hold K1 belt at the same time as the Strike Force
and
belt
Dream.
and Dream? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's real deal stuff.
That's crazy. Yeah,
It is.
and the K1 guys hated it when he came in there. And, like Botter,
Yep.
him and Botter had a lot of beef, and when
Yeah.
he came in and finished Botter, it was crazy.
Dude, he's just a powerful man. Ubereem.
Yeah.
Ubereem.
Ubereem.
Would you do the 4-ounce gloves?
Yeah, I would. I would fight. I would fight with the Raps right now. I would do a Lathway fight right now.
Someone still does it. It's a Thai fight series.
With the ropes?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. It's interesting to see. I don't know if I'd do that.
No.
I don't know, man.
I'd fight anything without a takedown right now.
Yeah. Cool. So I mean, did your goals right now, right? You said that mainly it's you're on the journey. You're
Right.
not really worried about the finances aspect of it. That's at least not driving your decisions whether
Right.
to take a fight or not. So how did that evolve? Like, was there some point where you said, "Hey, look, at this point, I'm not going to become a millionaire for this, so I'm just going to do it for the passion"? Like, what point was that?
I think that it's more about recognizing that it was like a venom within the thing that I love. Because I was pretty close. It was pretty close. You know, that One Warrior series, I was on the verge of getting that 100,000 contract and making some real money.
Yeah.
And I still am signed to them. I still
course.
have the ability to go after that contract. I'd have to win quite a few fights at this point. But I started to realize you just sit down there, you lose 2 fights, and you sit down and you realize, like, or you talk to yourself, like, why am I doing this? Like, what's the real point? Because people have asked me that before, and I'm like, I don't know.
I hate when people ask. It's a tough question.
Yeah. But it's because, I love this, and it challenges me, and it helps me become the person I want to be tomorrow. So
Yes.
none of that has anything to do with money. I do need to eat. I do need to make some money. So I would really like to write on the side to make money.
Cool.
And I'm coaching right now, so having those things supplement it really helps me see that all I want to do is continue to write a story. To continue to fight tough guys and see how far I can go.
Yeah. So what is your goal now? That?
Yeah.
See how far you can go?
Challenges. Yeah.
Yeah.
See how good I am at this.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's like the true martial artist pursuit, right? Maybe not the fighter pursuit. I
Right.
think it's a little different. And, MMA blurs it quite a bit.
Yeah.
You get all types of personalities. But, I mean, the true, like, pure martial artist is really just trying to see what they're capable of, right?
Yeah.
See what your potential truly is. And
Yeah.
a lot of people don't even get a shot at scraping their potential. And martial arts gives you that ability maybe past where other sports can, like football or basketball, where you're probably done around 18 to 22. Martial arts is more of a lifelong pursuit.
Yeah.
And it lets you give back. It's not every sport lets you give back, but martial arts specifically, I mean, you're sharing the same knowledge that you gain over time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So do you envision going back to Thailand? Like, is this a regular thing that you plan to do for the rest of your life?
I want to go to Norway. I want to go to South America. I want to go to Eastern Europe. I want to go everywhere and learn from everybody and challenge everybody in their kingdoms,
Yeah. I mean, that brings up a good point. All these countries just named are you're seeing their game evolve too. Like,
Yeah.
Russia, they send a lot of people to Thailand.
Man, they're good too.
Yeah.
Some really good Eastern Europeans out there.
Well, I think that's the thing. They bring that Eastern European boxing style with the heavy hands and just solid boxing in general.
Good wrestling too.
Good
Sambo.
wrestling, sambo, and submission wrestling, not just like
Right.
American style wrestling, going for a pin. They're going for submissions and leg locks and all that. So it's a good mix. But then the moment these Eastern Europeans learn how to kick and check, like you see them really do some damage,
Yeah.
even in the Thai scene, like locally in Thailand. It's cool to see.
Yeah, we had some killers when we were at Fairtex. They were from Russia, and they would in Tiger too. The thing that I would notice about them is they'd be explosive for a round or two, and then they'd slow down.
Sure.
They are.
They're coming to take your head off
athletic.
for that first
Yeah.
round, though.
Yeah, they're trying to kill you.
I didn't fight him. I was sparring with the guy from Dagestan because he was my size a lot when I was in Thailand. He was coming to take your head off.
Yeah.
If you see it in their face, they threw the right hand and that hook's coming, and
Yeah,
they're like they're
yeah.
gonna kill you. A little more incentive to learn how to move your head.
Yeah, I think part of it, when you come from those harsher countries, it means a little bit more. Like you need to win so you can take care of your family. Like we trained with Stamp Fairtex for a long time.
Cool.
And her
She's
story is so
Crushing
cool.
it right now.
Since she was a little kid, she was fighting and earning for her family and bought them a house and took care of the gym. And
Wow.
it's cool that she sits there and she talks about her dad. And her dad's like a knee fighter, and she wants to be a knee fighter like her dad. And like, man, you're so good. Like, you're so good.
Yeah.
And to be like looking in retrospect at your dad, who I don't know who her dad is,
Yeah.
like it's really cool how
Yeah.
humble she is and how hungry she is.
Yeah. And she's a double champ right now, right? MMA and Muay Thai.
Soon
for
to
one
be triple
championship.
champ though.
She can go get that kickboxing belt.
She's got the kickboxing. She's
Oh,
got
she-
Muay Thai and kickboxing. MMA is next.
MMA is the one she doesn't have.
Yeah.
Is that Angela Lee's weight class?
Yep.
Ooh, that's a tough fight.
Yep.
It's a good fight.
She
Good
should
fight,
really
so.
be worried about that Grace Cleveland girl because I think she's gonna be coming for it eventually.
That's what's up. Yeah, she's with the King of the Cage right now, but just a couple more fights there, and then, I mean, undefeated right now.
Yep.
Yeah, poised for greatness.
Yep.
Cool. So right now you've got this fight. Your last fight 10 months ago. Looking for a fight coming up right now. What if this is in North America? Do you go to Thailand to train, or you stay here?
No, I stay here. I haven't got to fight in America in like 4 years. I would love to fight.
Oh,
here.
no way.
That'd be so cool.
How does
I'm
that
not-
happen? You just get called. How do you get calls internationally
I
before you
know.
get calls locally?
I don't know. If anybody can figure out that algorithm, I'm trying to break it and figure it out, but we'll see.
So what is the idea of like getting a matchup locally? Is it that they want ticket sales? Like,
I don't know. I could sell tickets. You guys need me to sell tickets? I'll sell tickets. I really don't understand it because I don't think it's that I'm some badass either. Because you see guys like Dustin Jacoby, who's amazing. and
Yeah,
Chris
that's true.
Camozzi, and they're still getting fights on these shows. So and LT.
yeah, but they seem to struggle to get some fights too. You
Yeah.
know, especially the more experience they get, it's almost like it's harder to get fights the more experienced you are.
Yeah,
I mean, Jacoby, I think his last thing was the King of Sparta,
yeah,
and he won it.
Yeah.
Why isn't his family
yeah,
again?
yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Camozzi too. He's fighting for
And
glory,
that was up
right?
at heavyweight too, huh?
Yeah, he went up a weight class, right?
2.
Yeah, 2 weight classes. You should give him a fight.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Interesting.
so give Dustin Jacoby a fight too. I
Do
think
you-
he's trying to fight exclusively MMA now, though.
Gotcha. Do you see people like your weight in these other organizations and think like, man, just give me a shot at that guy?
No, I try not to like. I don't want to get caught up in that. I just
Yeah.
want. I don't want to like look at somebody and be jealous of what they have. Or
Right. That is what that is, isn't it?
yeah, Yeah, I definitely feel that sometimes, but I want to quiet those parts, you know? I
Sure.
just want to fight somebody.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be my weight class, so I don't have to just look at their weight, my weight class. Anybody.
Yeah. And
You know?
you're obviously a very cerebral guy. I mean, do you like meditate on this stuff? Is this stuff I mean, clearly you've spent time thinking about it, right?
Right.
What is that, a formal process? What is that for you? Or is
Meditation?
it just yeah, your reflection?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think about this nonstop, no matter what I'm doing. You know, this is absolutely my life and what I want to do. So, no matter if I'm driving or cooking or eating or coaching, I'm thinking about fighting. And that's the thing. Like one of my guys that I'm coaching will be like, "Hey, like I want to fight. I want to do this. I want to do that." And I'm thinking in my head like I need to take care of you, but I wish I was fighting too. You know, like I want
Yeah.
to fight too.
Yeah, how do you balance that? I mean, what
It's
is
tough. Yeah.
is it a newer transition to coaching? How long have you been doing that?
I became Zangano's head Muay Thai coach
Oh.
after a year of training. When I came back from Thailand, they made me their head coach for striking. So
I think it speaks testament to not only your dedication, but also, I mean, the level of training you get in Thailand consistently and the amount of
Right.
hours you put in, it makes you level up in 6 months. I mean, that's like a year's worth of training here.
yeah, yeah. Especially if you just sit down and focus. You know, anything you want to do, that's the lessons you get from stuff like this. Like anything you want to do, you just have to work hard at it and find the right information on it. You know, you have to find credible sources of good information so that you can continue to learn and grow and find people that have done it and follow their path. And then you don't have to do exactly what they're doing, but you can take some of it and take some of your own, you know?
I think that's what's attractive about your journey and your story too, though, that you were able to pinpoint what you wanted. I think that's something that a lot of people tend to struggle with. I agree that it's once you figure out what you want to do,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
pretty easy to see a path that could work or
Yeah.
that would likely work. But can you A, figure out what you want, and B, say I am willing to give it all and I'm willing to immerse myself and dedicate myself 100% to get this.
Yeah, and keep wanting it.
Right.
And keep
Yeah.
wanting it
After
even
the
when it's
first
hard.
loss, after the
Yeah.
first stumble.
Yeah.
So what keeps you fueled? What keeps you hungry?
I think that those losses make me want it more, you know?
Right.
Like those hard moments make me want it more because I know there's more. I know that I can give more. So I just have to keep finding things to pull that out of me until there's nothing left to give.
Are there any times throughout your career where you felt like after a loss, or maybe not even a loss, maybe even a win, that maybe this isn't for me, maybe this isn't something I should be doing?
Yeah, I mean, definitely those last two losses, I sat down and thought that, like, not that it isn't for me, but like now I'm 32,
Mm-hmm.
and what do I want to do next? Like, am I going to continue to pursue this? Is this really the passion? Is it MMA, or is it kickboxing? Like, if I continue to lose MMA, am I going to love it? If I lost some kickboxing fights, would I lose any love for it? And that's the real difference there is like I can go fight anybody in kickboxing and win or lose, I feel confident that I love this. In MMA, I just don't know that I love like laying on my back, not being able to get up from underneath somebody, you know? I
Yeah.
think that spoils it for me.
Man,
And
that's a good way to put it.
I have huge respect for wrestlers, you know?
Sure.
But I just even watching it, watching an MMA fight and the guy's getting held down, and I'm like, all right, what else can I do right now?
Yeah.
I don't feel that way during kickboxing fights, you know?
And the more you know, the more you enjoy it too. Like,
Right.
I could see how Muay Thai from an outsider's perspective, maybe like the clinch gets a little boring or something.
Yeah.
But I mean, once you've felt what the clinch is like and you know how terrible it is,
Right, yeah.
you get a little more respect for that sport and what people are capable of within it. And then you mentioned how Stamp wants to be, more knee oriented like her dad. I mean, that's a whole nother level of it where, these people are knee style or elbow
Yeah.
style and they have styles make fights. It's just so cool. I think Muay Thai is the most dynamic sport other than MMA,
Yeah, I agree.
especially in the striking. I mean, kickboxing might be faster per se, but nothing's as dynamic as
Yeah.
Muay Thai.
Yeah. I do think kickboxing is a little prettier, but that's also, I'm a little biased to that.
It's probably, yeah, I would agree. It's not as much like getting caught on each other and
Yeah.
it's cleaner, right?
Yeah.
It's high action, high pace, constant action.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Glory's done a good job of making it like very commercially pleasing, aesthetically pleasing. They got the white, it's clean looking.
They have amazing athletes too, like Alex Pereira.
Yeah.
I used to not like him because he knocked out Israel,
Yeah,
but
but he's knocked out
respectable.
everybody
He's
now.
so good. Everybody. He just
Dude.
got Fighter of the Year for them.
He deserves it. I mean, you
Yeah.
make Jason Wellness look like an amateur to a certain
Yeah.
extent. Like, that's a big deal. That
Yeah.
dude's a killer in
Just
his own right.
crushes them.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's really good.
yeah. So what, I mean, I guess that someday you have to call it quits. Do you think about that day at all? Like, do you think about that'll be when I'm 44 years old or?
Yeah, it's when I literally can't physically do it.
Cool.
I do think about that day, but that's the thought is like, well, it's when I can't. If I can still like get up out of a chair, I can probably still fight. We'll be okay.
Yeah, and then that day comes, it's more coaching oriented. Do you like, I mean, staying on the martial arts journey?
Yeah, we'll see. I'll definitely always give back what I know, but we'll see when that time comes.
I like that. We don't even have to think that far out because right now you're still in it.
Yeah.
Cool. So, how can people follow your career? How can they know if you have a fight coming up?
My Instagram's deadshot.ronin, and yeah, just keep tracking on Lion Fight and One Championship because I'll be there soon.
Absolutely, and we'll keep people posted as well. Cool. Awesome, man. I appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Awesome. Thank you. And give us a follow too. Subscribe to the YouTube channel Prize Fighting Business and follow us on Instagram at Prize Fight Biz.